So how do you know if something is a red flag or just a bit quirky? I'm a psychologist with more than 15 years experience helping people build healthy relationships after toxic ones. In this video, I'm going to tackle the dating challenges of a real viewer of this channel. I'll analyze everything from her past relationships to her current date's actions and tell you exactly what I would do in her situation. These are just my personal thoughts, so as always, please use your own judgment about what's best for you and seek professional advice from a licensed therapist if you need more support. This was the message that I received from a viewer. Dear Dr. Ruth, about a year ago, I came out of an on-again, off-again relationship with someone who was indecisive about us. I'm stepping back into the dating world. I really want to meet a partner who is emotionally available and willing to commit. Okay, great. I think a lot of people can relate to this situation of being ready and willing to make a commitment and waiting for the other person and then finding that the other person just doesn't get there. And that is an incredibly painful situation to be in. And what I'm loving is that you've reflected on that situation and you're dating with a really clear purpose and sense of what you want, that you want a relationship that's characterized by commitment and emotional availability. But here is something else for you to consider. What was it that kept you hanging on in that on-again, off-again relationship? Was it a sense of hope? Was it a wish that this person would be something that they weren't, or that they would want something with you that they didn't want? Was it a fear of being alone or a difficulty in imagining yourself with anyone else? These kind of emotions and all of the experiences that go with them can kind of point you towards vulnerabilities and things that might get in the way of you creating a really thriving relationship. I'm wondering if you might be someone with a more anxious attachment style. So someone who fears losing the relationship and therefore continues to pursue the relationship and to hang on, even when it's really not working well for you. But let's dive a little deeper into your message. I'm not willing to accept being messed about anymore. Okay, there we go. This statement is very telling. It seems you've realized that you have a pattern of allowing yourself to be messed about in your relationship. Something wasn't quite right in your past relationship, and yet you found yourself tolerating it, enduring it. I'm wondering if you just ignored it and hoped it would change, or if you confronted it, but then continued to keep confronting it when it wasn't changing, when perhaps it would have been better for you to walk away. I'm really appreciating how much you're reflecting on your past relationship and what you hope would be different in your future relationship. And right there, you've noticed something crucial, that you tolerated or accepted being messed about. And that is something within you that you wish to change. And I think it's very easy to overlook this piece. We often think about what I would like to be different in my partner in a future relationship. Yes, you want someone who's emotionally available and willing to make a commitment. That's absolutely right, that those are the things that you want and you should look for. But also think about, how would you like to be different in your next relationship? Maybe that's being more expressive of your needs, speaking up if you don't like something, sharing your feelings, being more assertive. When we think about red flags, we often think about the red flags we might see in a future partner. Also think about the red flags that you might see within yourself that would give you an indication that history might be repeating itself. That might be things like feeling uncomfortable about something but not able to say anything, or putting up with things, tolerating things that you really don't like, and allowing a relationship to continue long past the point where it's good for you. Let's keep those inner red flags in mind as we find out more. I'm struggling to know what is a red flag and what isn't. I recently went on a date with someone who was very clear. He wants to find a wife and he wants to have children, and he hopes this will happen in the next few years. Okay, well, that's direct. This level of directness on a first date is pretty intense, but I don't think it's necessarily a red flag. This could be someone who maybe has a history of being messed about, of spending time in relationships that weren't going in the direction that they want to go in, and they're not prepared to do that anymore. They could just be laying their cards on the table and letting you know, if you want something casual, if you're looking for a situationship, if you just want to Netflix and chill, I'm not the person for you to be dating. Fair enough. It's bold, it's brave, it's probably going to put some people off, but someone saying this is probably happy to deter some people. While I appreciate that kind of directness, it does run the risk of treating dating as a kind of job application process where you're trying to fill the role of future spouse. And that can get in the way of just exploring and allowing your connection and your relationship to evolve as you get to know each other. So someone being direct that they want to get married and have children isn't in itself a red flag. But what would be is if they said, we should get married and have children at a very early stage before you've had a chance to get to know each other and before the relationship has had a chance to develop. That kind of rushing into serious commitments that are too much too soon is certainly a very big warning sign. So let's find out more about what's happening here. Our date lasted about 2 hours at a bar, and at the end, oh boy, he kissed me, which felt awkward. I have questions. Was this a slightly awkward kiss goodbye because nobody really knew how you were meant to say goodbye and it was a first date and you were both a little bit nervous? If so, I would cut someone some slack on that because first date jitters can affect pretty much anyone. However, if he lunged himself at you, if he started kissing you with an intensity that you weren't comfortable with, and especially if he wasn't increasing the degree of physical closeness gradually and figuring out how comfortable you were with how close he was getting, then yeah, I would have some big concerns about that. So I have an even more important question for you. How did that kiss really feel for you? Because I'm wondering if awkward is an understatement. And I'm thinking back to your history of being messed around. And I'm wondering if you're someone who downplays your own discomfort and minimizes your own feelings when something feels pretty terrible to you. And if that is the case, I'd invite you to consider whether history could be repeating itself here. Because that really would be a red flag worth paying attention to. But let's find out more. The next day, he sent me a text message saying, "Hello, sunshine." No, that's a red flag. Run. Okay, this might be personal taste because cringe. I would hate that. But let me know in the comments section, what do you think? I think that kind of a pet name is cringe at the best of times, but after a 2-hour date, I'm not liking that. This is more important. He has since been texting constantly, which was really nice at first, but it's starting to feel overwhelming. Frequent texting can feel really flattering at first. Here's someone who's really excited to have met you, really keen to get to know you more, and they want to know all the details of your day. Who's not going to enjoy that kind of attention, especially if you've been feeling somewhat neglected or unimportant in your past relationship? But it also creates an illusion of closeness that just doesn't match the reality of where your relationship is at. And there's a real risk in that because this person is suddenly constantly in your messages, taking up a lot of space in your mind and in your emotions, and that can actually become really distracting and take you away from your family, your friends, your work, and all the other aspects of your life that are so important. Clearly, you are feeling overwhelmed by these text messages, and I'm wondering if you feel obligated to reply or if you're worried about how he would react, if he'd be upset or disappointed if you didn't reply. And if that's the case, then I would question, are you finding yourself going along with something that you don't like or you find uncomfortable rather than confronting it? Because that really would be a red flag worth paying attention to. But let's find out if there's more to your story. In one of his texts, he said he felt very lucky to have met me And he has now deleted the dating app we met on because he wants to focus all his attention on us. Wow, I just want to run away. Run. I would ask what's stopping you. What's stopping you? Because there's a lot here that you don't like. Let's see what we can find out. I sent a screenshot of his message to my friend and she told me, don't run away because you're scared of commitment. Isn't this what you wanted? Wow. And yes, it is what I want, but I don't like how this feels. Am I sabotaging myself? Do I have a secret fear of commitment? Wow. Okay. Let's put the red flag question aside for now, because there's a really pressing question that you need to answer. And I think when you can answer this question honestly, it has the power to transform not only this situation, but your future relationships. So here is the big question. Do you want another date with this man? Because you are about 20 steps ahead of where you need to be. And I think the answer to that question of do you want a second date could actually be far more meaningful to you than anything else you've asked in your message. You can't possibly know if someone is capable of a lasting, emotionally available, committed relationship after spending 2 hours with them. However, you can know if you want to see them again. And I think you do know the answer to that question. So why are you hesitating? And here's my best guess as to why. You've been in a relationship with someone who kept you in a state of limbo, not willing or not able to make any kind of commitment. And now this man comes along and he's doing the exact opposite. But are you mistaking his constant contact for emotional availability and commitment? And then you're doubting and questioning yourself when you don't like his behavior. And now even your friend is weighing in, suggesting that you have a fear of commitment and you're sabotaging the relationship. Everything about this is making you doubt yourself. But actually, I think you already know what you want to do about this particular person. And the challenge might be having the courage to say it and to follow through. But let's look at his behavior and what it tells you about his level of emotional availability. I don't see any emotional availability here at all. In fact, he seems rather unaware of how you're feeling and unattuned to you. He steamrolled you into physical contact that you didn't want. Now he's sending you constant text messages, which certainly makes him very present in your day, but I'm not so sure that presence is emotional availability and not intrusion. He sent a text message declaring there to be an us, but you haven't agreed that there's an us. Most importantly, he isn't giving you time or space to share your feelings with him. A truly emotionally available person would take the risk of being vulnerable with you, of sharing with you how they feel, and asking what your feelings are, even if it turns out you're not on the same page. And if he'd done that, you might actually be feeling quite differently. But let's look at the pattern of his behavior rather than his words. Is he taking an interest in your life, in your dreams, your ambitions, and the things that are important to you? Is he giving you room to breathe and to process and to figure out how you feel about him? Or are his actions coming across as intrusive, overbearing, and maybe even controlling? While your friend seems to think that you're sabotaging something good, I'm not so sure. Now, if you've been on several dates with several different people who had expressed genuine interest in you and who said they wanted to get to know you more, and you were turning them all down, then yes, maybe we'd need to talk about why you're turning down potential connections. But I don't think that's what's happening here. I think the challenge you're describing is in having the confidence to say no to something you don't like. And I do wonder if you're mistaking this man's over-the-top texting and grand gesture of deleting the dating app for emotional availability and commitment. And so saying no feels like you're closing the door on something that you really want. And yet his behaviour is also clearly making you feel rather uncomfortable. So I wonder if the challenge is more saying no with confidence and having faith that there will be other people that you can meet and form a close emotional connection with in the future. But I did promise to reveal exactly what I would do in your shoes. And for me, the quick physical advances, the grand gestures, the over-the-top texting would all be enough for me to decide I didn't want a second date with this man. And as I'd only spent 2 hours with him before, I would probably send him a message that said, "Thank you for meeting. I don't feel a sense of connection with you, so I don't want to see you again, but I wish you the best." Now, maybe I have misread the situation. Maybe he was just a bit awkward and nervous on a first date. Perhaps he will make someone a very good husband one day. I can't know any of that for sure, but what I can know for sure is whether or not I want to see him again. But if you don't want to walk away and you want to explore this more, then you can treat it as an opportunity to change some of your behaviours in your relationship. So rather than accepting things that you don't like, you could confront them directly. If you feel overwhelmed by frequent messaging, take longer to reply, or tell him that you're going to be busy and you won't be able to reply until later. You'll get to see whether he respects this or if he demands more of your time. If things are moving too fast, tell him, but not via text message. Do this in person because you want to see his emotional reaction. And here's why this is such an important test. When you hit the brakes with someone who's emotionally available, someone who's concerned for your comfort and how you feel, they will slow down too. But someone who's more controlling is much more likely to get frustrated, to sulk, to guilt trip you, or to find a way to speed things up. The way he responds will tell you everything you need to know. And then you'll have to ask yourself the same question. Do I want to see this person again? Whatever happens in this situation, the real skill in dating isn't just in spotting red flags. It's learning to listen to and to trust yourself. Trust yourself, not me, not your friend, and definitely not the YouTube comment section. You are the best person to make a decision about what to do next. But this is still YouTube, so I want to hear from you. What do you think about this situation? Do you think I was too harsh on her date or not harsh enough? Let me know in the comments. And if you have a relationship or dating challenge that you'd like me to break down in a video like this one, check out the pinned comment and send me your story because I cannot wait to dive in.